We're in week 21 of the NHL season, and it was a wild one. We've got teams hitting total rock bottom and calling each other out. Other teams are setting franchise records with their play. We've got hockey in a stadium, and the league is starting to shift as the trade deadline looms. Week 21 of the NHL season was chaotic, weird, and entertaining as hell. So let's dive into what really happened this week in the NHL. Monday, Benny and the Jets. This season, there have been very few teams that have looked quite as dominant as the Winnipeg Jets. They won 1 trillion games to start the year, teetered a tiny bit, but have steadily remained one of the best teams in the NHL for the entire season. Riding a 9-game winning streak, which is a franchise record, they face their toughest challenge yet, which is the 2025 San Jose Sharks. The Sharks get on the peeper in the first, and Sir William Eklund scores to put them up 1-0. Then, Vitek Vanacek puts on the clamps. The Jets go 59 minutes with no answer, and the Sharks are this close to pulling off a miracle, and Josh Morrissey says screw it, and he tees one home to tie it with 25 seconds left. My poor sweet Sharks just can't catch a break. Then, Mark Scheifele, Team Canada snub, goes dumpster diving in OT and cleans up the garbage. He becomes the franchise leader in goals and gives the Jets their 10th win in a row. What a team, what a comeback, and yet we all sit here and say, let's see it in April, boys. Meanwhile, the Kings and Golden Knights are going mano-a-mano, and Quinton Byfield is quickly becoming a bona fide stud for the Kings. 22 years old, and look at this. On his backhand, he rifles one to the tape of Fogle. The puck has eyes, Chico. What a dish and what a game from him. 4-assist night as he and the Kings beat the future injured reserves 5-2 to win their second straight. Tuesday, Chicago meltdown. Let's kick off Tuesday with the most one-sided rivalry in hockey between Boston and Toronto. If you wondered how this has gone for the Leafs over the years, just watch this go off of McCabe's chin and right onto Marchand's stick for a goal. There you go. Boston up 3-0 before Leaf fans even have a real chance to cancel the parade. But Boston isn't the monster they once were. 3-0 lead in TD Garden is usually a lock for Leaf failure and pain. This time, they pull an Uno reverse card and score 3 straight goals, and then Pontius Pilot Holmberg scores in the dying seconds to force OT. Leaf fans are wondering what is going on. They're not used to this. Mitch Marner breakaway in OT. Is he going backhand? Nope, forehand. See you later. The Leafs come all the way back and keep the top spot in the Atlantic. Meanwhile, at this rate, Ovechkin is straight up going for 1,000 goals. Washington's only goal is, guess who? The big Russian machine. Calgary, however, with a ballsy win, being the first team to beat the Caps in their own barn since November. Just nuts. Now, as this trade deadline approaches, we're all wondering what the hell is going on with Mikko Rantanen. It's been a very short stint, but it does not look like a great fit in Carolina. Another game versus the Habs where he and the Canes offense generate nothing, and it's 4-0 for Montreal as they get 2 points and are now chasing Columbus, where Kirill Marchenko continues to go off. 2 goals, 1 assist. This man has been a gem for the Blue Jackets. They get a huge 2 points over a Dallas team that has returned to last year's form. Now, usually a Ducks versus Sabres game has gotten toilet bowl written all over it, but we've been sleeping on the Ducks, and so have other teams, as they're now just 6 points back of a spot. However, they gotta know the Sabres are the best team in the league when they are 12 plus points out of a playoff spot and the games don't matter. 2-goal lead for the Ducks, forget about it. Sabres score 3 in a row in the third and are now 7-3 in their last 10. Sick tank job going on over there. They should really take some lessons from the Penguins. It was reported that Kyle Dubas would trade Erik Karlsson in a heartbeat, even though it's been less than 2 years after he traded for him. Not a good look, and neither's getting bodied by the Flyers 6-1. Hashtag save Sid, and maybe hashtag save Seth. Who the hell is Seth? Well, it's the $9 million Chicago D-man Seth Jones, who isn't holding back any punches after losing 2-1 to Utah.
We're the exact same team right now as we were at Game 1. And I think it's pretty evident out there. We haven't made any strides to be a better, more simple hockey team.
He's been rumored for a while to be on the trade block, and after those comments, I wouldn't be surprised if it happens soon. Tampa, on the other hand, is feeling it. Brandon Hagel is an absolute gamer. Look at him go, a little Daft Punk around the world wraparound. He's on fire, and Kucherov puts up another quiet multi-point night as Tampa wins their 6th in a row against Edmonton, who, by the way, have looked hungover since coming back from the break. 3 straight losses and 17 goals against is no bueno. Meanwhile, Jordan Whittington continues to be a wall out of the break. .966 save percentage in his first game, and then .926 in his St. Louis spanking over Seattle. The Rangers also decided to join in on the smackdown against Lou's Islanders. Here's a Matt Rempe goal. It's so damn rare I have to show it, but Lou's Islanders, after going on a 7-game run, have followed it up with 4 losses in a row. I could do a deeper breakdown of what's really wrong with this team. However, I'd have to enter witness protection to avoid Lou himself. Also, it looks like Detroit fans finally get some justice with Zegras getting 3 games for going headhunting on Michael Rasmussen. They also get to see Simone Edvinsson channel his inner Danny Heatley and wind up to T1 home from the neutral zone. Rockstar stuff from him, and it's exactly why he scored twice in this game, including the OT game winner. The spirit of 50 and 07 lives on. Finally, we had the Panthers versus the Preds. Matthew Tkachuk may be on late shows, but fans are still concerned that he might be out until the playoffs. It's okay, Florida. Vegas has a plan that you can use, and Nashville stinks. In fact, they stink so bad that after losing 4-1, defenseman Luke Schenn came out after the game and said he's never been on a team like this one that literally can't score a goal. But he said he had his guy and is telling it like it is to end Tuesday night. Wednesday, keep on rolling. The Winnipeg Jets are a well-oiled machine right now. First power play in the league, best defensive and goaltending metrics in the NHL, and it doesn't seem like there's any glaring weakness on this team. Unfortunately for Sens fans, they got to try and snap their losing streak to them without Brady Tkachuk for the 2nd straight game. Out the gate, we're high-stepping early. Clean, hard hit on Appleton, which means in the modern NHL, the gloves are off. No one's walking over the Jets, and they're making damn sure of it. 3 straight goals, another shining performance from Connor Hellebuyck, and they win their 11th game in a row. Unbelievable team. Let's see it in April, fellas. As for the Sens, that's their 5th loss in a row, as they just seem to always take 2 steps forward and 2 steps back. Then, over in Colorado, the dog is barking at the doorstep. 2 goals from the goal line. One he bats out of the air like he's Jose Canseco. He still leads the NHL in scoring as the Avs slap around New Jersey. Meanwhile in LA, Drew Doughty was a late scratch pregame with an injury, so the Kings call 1-800-BIG-SAVE-DAVE to try and bail him out. Too bad Stone Cold Quinn Hughes is finally back in the lineup for Vancouver, and when that's the case, the Canucks are a completely different team. Connor Garland double dips the chip with the OT winner. Hughes gets a point in his return, and the Canucks get a big win to stay in that last spot in the West. Thursday, Chaos Central. Thursday was absolutely nuts. Fights, comebacks, drama, the league was humming. First game, Carolina versus Buffalo. Boys are looking sharp in the Whalers uniforms, so how about right off a puck drop, we get a tilt. Couple of lefts, couple of rights, 5 minutes to think about what you did and get back on the ice. Now, remember what I said about Mikko Rantanen a few minutes back? Yeah, you're welcome. There's the Moose getting on the board to make Canes fans feel a little bit relieved. He adds an assist, and the Canes break out of their mini slump by beating the greatest lottery team in the Buffalo Sabres. Speaking of lottery teams, it looks like Pittsburgh is right in the middle of getting pumped by Philly yet again. 3-0 halfway through the second. Penguins pull Nedeljkovic, and he's hot. He slams the door, starts yelling at the bench like that one beer league goalie who's blaming the entire team after he led an 11, and he's giving it to the bench. Everyone's pissed off in this one. Boko Imama takes a cheap shot at Hathaway. He needs help off the ice. Torts is losing it, and all of a sudden, the winds have changed. The Penguins come all the way back. Malkin ties it early in the third. We go to OT, and he comes back for more. Little stop up, defender goes for a slide, and that's game. Comeback complete for the Penguins. Someone buy Nedeljkovic a beer for that pep talk. Now, let's dive into some important wild card games in the East. Boston starving for one after choking to the Leafs, and they get a special from Lou's Islanders. 2-1, low scoring, NyQuil hockey with Ilya Sorokin stoning the Bruins with 38 saves. They fail to make up any ground on Detroit and Columbus, who are going toe-to-toe themselves. Both are in the last wildcard spots in the East, and JVR, the Pigeon himself, still making that living around the net. Pots too, and Columbus gets their 3rd win in a row. Then the Flames come into Tampa, and Ryan Lomberg tells us how he really feels about the Lightning.
I like the palm trees in the sunshine, but I fucking hate these guys. Wow.
Well, if you didn't hate them enough before, you're going to hate them even more now, because the Lightning are starting to look like scary sleepers going into the postseason. Andrei Vasilevsky gets another shutout, and he's looking like his older self while putting together a season that could potentially challenge Connor Hellebuyck for the Vezina. Hellebuyck did get the night off against the Preds, considering even they know they can't score, so what can go wrong riding an 11-game win streak? Well, the Preds actually score more than just a goal. Truly a miracle as they end the Jets' win streak at 11 with a 2-1 win, and that's exactly why we play the games. Then we had the Stanley Cup final rematch. McDavid admitted pregame that his game isn't anywhere close to where he wants it. Get this man an all-inclusive for a week and watch him come back with a vengeance. Leon, on the other hand, is on another level right now. He's got Gustav Forsling, one of the best defenders in the league, on his back. He just holds him off like it's his nephew at Chuck E. Cheese. He says, "Get the hell off of me," and does it all himself. The Oilers, as a whole, though, are still struggling. Stuart Skinner is fighting it, the mental errors are costly, and the frustration is boiling over. The Panthers win, and Draisaitl on the way out kicks the door in frustration as they've lost 5 in a row. Ovi, however, is having a blast. He scored on 150-plus goalies in his career, but he's never scored on Joel Hofer. The Russian machine is licking his lips to try and add him to the list, but the Blues tame the beast and keep Ovi in check to win their 3rd straight. Now, let's go to the Bell Center where the Sharks and Habs are in OT. Cole Caulfield, one-on-one against Macklin Celebrini. He says, "Watch this, kid. A little between the legs. How do you do?" Celebrini gets caught fishing. Caulfield goes upstairs, and oh, that is pretty. He tosses the stick in the crowd, says, "Screw the Sharks prophecy, and let's go home." An unreal individual effort followed up by Clayton Keller putting up 5 points. That's 3 in a row against the Wild as Utah's getting healthy, and they're knocking on the doorstep of a wild card spot despite not having a real name. The Ducks, on the other hand, are trying to shake the back-to-back toilet bowl champ title. Great way to do that is to score 6 unanswered goals after going down 2 to Vancouver. The kids are starting to put it together as they've earned points in 9 of their last 11 games. The Blackhawks are nowhere close to that progress. They do show a little life, almost coming back from being down 5-1 to Vegas, but the future injury reserves avoid a scheduled hangover choke and pick up the 2 points to end a chaotic Thursday night. Friday, Stoli the goalie. Despite how much of a circus this season has been, the New York Rangers are still somehow right in the mix to be a wild card team in the playoffs. 2 points is a must, but the Leafs have Stoli the goalie, perhaps the best offseason pickup of the season for this team. The Rangers outshoot Toronto 35-17, and Anthony Stolar stands on his head to win 3-2. Now, I know it's in far less games, but being the league leader in save percentage in a year where Connor Hellebuyck owns every shooter's soul is some tidy piece of work. He and Joseph Woll are the reason why the Leafs may actually win the Atlantic Division for the first time in the Matthews era. Another team who's totally found their stride is the Dallas Stars. Logan Stankoven, the rookie with the best last name in the league, goes for a double dip, while Rupe Hintz turns into an apple tree with 4 assists. The Stars walk all over the Kings to keep chasing down the Jets in the Central. Behind those two teams are the Avs and Wild. Fall asleep at the wheel for even a second, and Colorado has the offense to make you pay. That's exactly what happened with Minnesota. They had the lead in the second, and not even a minute later, they're down by a goal. They're forced to play catch-up and never do. Minnesota is missing Kirill the Thrill, but they lose their 3rd straight and now are tied with Colorado in the Central. Saturday, hockey night. A huge day of hockey on Saturday with 13 games, so let's start with the ambient special. 2 teams who can't score are the Islanders and Predators, but the offense was humming in this one, and it's hilarious that the most impactful goal came from a goalie. Well, kinda. Nashville was down by 2. Stamkos goes for the bank pass and buries on his own net. Ilya Sorokin is the last player to touch it for the Owls, so we technically get a goalie goal. The Islanders win, and the Preds are so rock bottom, it isn't even funny. Stamkos signed that big ticket in the summer. He's got 0 points in his last 12 games, minus 15, and he just potted 1 in his own net. It doesn't get much uglier than that. Meanwhile, Ovi can't be stopped. That is goal number 884, 11 away from Wayne. Tampa, though, is looking like a wagon. They win their 8th in a row with a Vasilevsky special of stopping 20 of 21. And on this run, Vasilevsky has had a .945 save percentage. That should scare everyone in the Atlantic. Another man on fire is David Pastrnak. A little fake to the backhand. See ya on the other side of the continent, Ned. 17-game point streak for him, and Boston takes care of business in Pittsburgh. Hashtag save Sid. Then it's the Cup champs who make a move. They send Spencer the Dark Knight and a first-round pick to Chicago for Seth Jones with salary retained. There you go. We didn't even make it until the end of this video for Jones to be traded, and the Panthers celebrate by shutting down Calgary. They may have sent half their team to the Four Nations, but they're ready to repeat as they jump Toronto for top of the Atlantic, and will likely put Matthew Tkachuk on the IR any day now to take advantage of the Vegas special. Then we go outside to play some hockey. The Columbus Blue Jackets versus the Detroit Red Wings. This is a big game as they are 1-2 in the wild card in the East. The fans are showing a whole lot of love for Johnny Gaudreau. It was the second largest crowd in NHL history with 94,000 people in the stands. We even had a doggo in the first row, and if you ask Red Wings fans, he probably could have officiated a better game. All tied up with 4 minutes left, Justin Danforth's solo effort gives Columbus the lead, but it's under review. Was it a high stick? Was it a flop? Gary calls and says, stay on your damn feet. That's a good goal. Elvis was spectacular in the crease, stopping 43 shots. He and Columbus leave the building as Stadium Series champs. Congrats. Meanwhile, Edmonton's in a funk, but McDrysaddle's gonna work its magic. 2 apples for the German doctor. He is surgical with that backhand pass, and McDavid becomes the 3rd fastest player in NHL history to record 700 assists. What a sicko. The Habs have the league's greatest lottery team in Buffalo as they're trying to desperately stay in the wildcard race. Caulfield, Hudson, Evans, the kids are all buzzing for Montreal as they win their 4th in a row against the Sabres. Ottawa's looking to do the same as they've been riding the struggle bus lately, so give them the damn Sharks. Brady Tkachuk ready to go back in the lineup, immediate impact by potting one. Congrats, Sens fans. You hand the Sharks their 8th loss in a row while snapping your own 5-game losing streak. Then we got a shootout in Winnipeg. It's the rookie of the month, Matvei Michkov, a little fake shot backhand roof. Whew, that is pretty. And that is also the game winner. Speaking of winners, once again, Jordan Whittington still hasn't lost coming off of the Four Nations. 25 saves, and he's got the Blues knocking on the doorstep for the last spot in the West because the Canucks can't get in the groove. Shane Wright has low-key been a dog for Seattle. He's got 12 points in his last 10. Not bad. But 2 sleepers who could take that last spot in the West is both Utah and Anaheim. Unfortunately, they both blow their chance royally to make up any ground to end hockey night. Sunday, shinny hockey. It's the Leafs and Penguins in the 1 p.m. shinny slot, and man, did it ever look like it. Some sloppy defense and goaltending, but Sid the middle-aged man, he had a monster game. First, he reminds Joe Wall to close his damn legs, and then he sets up Brian Rust to pass Gordie Howe for 10th all-time in assists. Now, here's the Penguins season in a nutshell. 5 seconds left, O-zone draw. All they have to do is win the draw and go into the third with the lead. No. Erik Karlsson, blind pass pizza right to Matthew Knies. He's got no time, so he just rips one past Blomqvist and gets the buzzer beater with 0.1 seconds left. What a disaster. And this whole game was a disaster, which is why both teams scored 5 goals each and OT was needed. And so it's Will Nye the Science Guy making it look like it's another day at the office. He buries the Leafs win 5 in a row. Parade is on, and the Atlantic is a scary place. In the last 10 games, the Leafs, Panthers, and Lightning have all won at least 8 games. Boston ain't a part of that, though. Kastelik and Foligno drop the mitts. The boys are chucking, but the Bruins can't get anything going offensively. Minnesota gives them nothing, and Gustafsson gets the shutout in a 1-0 barn burner. That is just another game for Nashville. They're scoring on their own net, they're calling each other out for not being able to score a damn goal, and they got shut out by the Rangers. Marchessault's reaction to getting robbed with a scorpion kick by a 39-year-old Jonathan Quick truly says it all. It also seems like no one in the West wants to claim that last wildcard spot. Aho the Dairy Ho ruins Calgary's chance in OT. They've now lost 3 in a row, and St. Louis is right there to take it, but Jordan Whittington finally comes down to earth. The Stars were snapping it around on the power play. 4 power play goals for them. Wyatt Johnson gets 3 of them. Kid's sick, and the Stars are a wagon. You best believe it. Finally, we have the future injured reserves versus the Devils. And although it looks like Florida is going to be taking full advantage of the LTIR with Matthew Tkachuk, I'm sure Vegas has something up their sleeve for Friday's trade deadline. For now, Mark Stone is healthy enough to score game winners as Vegas shuts out the Devils. But the big news in this one was Jack Hughes getting hurt. An awkward collision with Jack Eichel. Sheldon Keefe was pissed. He got ejected in this one, and as he said post-game, it did not look good, which means that Hughes could miss a large chunk of time. So, what did you think of week 21 of the NHL season? Who surprised you? Who pissed you off? Let us know in the comments down below. And if you want to see the best player and team breakdowns on the platform along with weekly recaps, make sure you subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications.